there are a few reasons why World War One happened. The first one is that imperialists or countries that want to take over certain places or conquer them, which means menjajah. They want to get a lot of territories, tanah jajahan, because they wanted to take away the natural resources from those places, which is also known as bahan mentah. For example, rubber or getah and biji timah, which is tin, if I'm not wrong. Second one is that there were two teams going against each other. The first team was the Allied powers or Pakatan Bertiga. And the tiga main powers, the three main powers of the Allies are France, British, and Russia. The second one is the Central Powers or Kosa Tengah, and it is mainly led by Germany and Austria-Hungary. And the third one is the most important one. This is basically what started the war, the one that was the final nail in the coffin before the war started, which is the Crisis Rantau Balkan, the Balkan crisis. So what happened was Serbia was, if I am not wrong, under control by Austria-Hungary. Like it was part of Austria-Hungary. And then the people in Serbia wanted to kick out Austrians from Serbia. And they think it is because Serbia wants to become independent. And this tension between Serbia and Austria-Hungary continued until a Serbian killed the prince of Austria-Hungary, the crown prince, the one that was going to become king. He got killed by a Serbian, and this started the war. So, the winner of this war was the Allied forces, Pakatan Bertiga. And after the war, they settled on two things. The first one was Persidangan Damai Paris, basically a peace discussion. So, in this peace discussion, please take note that these aren't the only countries at war. A lot of countries followed after that, including America, which was part of the Allied forces. So, the President of America, Woodrow Wilson, created this declaration, Deklarasi 14 Perkara Woodrow Wilson, and it had two main principles. Number one, penentuan nasib negara atas oleh rakyat sendiri, and number two, sempadan negara berasaskan bangsa. What this means is, this declaration of how to settle the tension between countries is, number one, let the country be run. Let the fate of the country be done by its own people. For example, if the Serbians want to get out of Austria-Hungary, let them show that they want to, like through a vote or something. Or in other cases, which I'll get to later, if some countries want to break up, then it will decide on themselves. It's their choice if they want to get out or not. The second one is sempadan negara berasaskan bangsa. So remember that the whole war started because Serbians wanted to apparently become independent from Austria-Hungary. So this is basically the solution for it. Let them become independent. Because they are a different race. Let the borders of a country be decided by its race. So if this whole area is Serbian, then you're part of Serbia, and so on. Second one that happened was Perjanjian Versailles, and Perjanjian Versailles was signed by the Allied powers and Germany, and this is basically in the favor of Allied forces, because what happened was Germany has to give away all of the territories to Allied forces, everything that it took over. The second thing was that Germany had to pay fines for the war stuff, for the war crimes. Number three, they had to reduce their army. Actually, every country had to reduce their army, like the army size, to avoid more wars, which did not go well. And lastly, Germany has to be held responsible for what happened during the war, because they were basically the ones who started it. The effects of World War One is, number one, most monarchies have been taken over. What this means is, after the wars, the people from each country rose up and decided to fight the others, fight the king, fight the monarchy. This happened in Austria-Hungary, Turkey, which is also known as Empire Uthmaniyah at that time, and Russia. So I don't know about the names, but the king of Austria-Hungary at that time, they didn't say the king, but it was Dynasty Habsburg. Habsura, Habshura, and Turkey Uthmaniyah. The leader was Mehmet VI, And Russia, the king was Tsar Nicholas II. If you remember, Tsar means king. So because they took over the monarchy system, they destroyed it, and some of the territories decided to become independent, which is our second thing. New countries were born. In Turkey Uthmania, it was split to Turkey, which became a republic, Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq. Secondly, Austria-Hungary, which split to Austria and Hungary, as well as Yugoslavia and Czechoslovakia. And lastly, Russia. Russia still exists, but Poland, Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia all broke out of Russia. The last effect of this war is that because British was scared that with all of this happening, that Tanah Melayu will want to get themselves independent as well. So what they did is British tried to control Tanah Melayu and tried to take away more of their rights, take away more of the Orang Melayu's rights. So what they did was they made the kings sign a contract which apparently contains like themselves trying to make the kings be loyal to British, like they cannot backstab the British or whatsoever. And another thing that was included in the contract was the Pesuruhjaya Tinggi British, which is basically like the prime minister of that time. He can personally put or negeri Melayu under military rule, or under kawalan tentera. What this undang-undang tentera? What this means is, if Tanah Melayu tries to become independent, and the Pesuruhjaya Tinggi decides to, all of you are under military service now, military rule now. Remember that the army is mainly consisted of British, so they cannot really fight back against the British because the British will be way stronger than Tanah Melayu themselves. So they cannot fight for it. They cannot really go for independence unless they really want to start another war. And lastly, British took over the economy of Orang Melayu. That was self-explanatory lah. They have been doing it the whole time they were here.